Steven, if no one else can be a testament to this, you can fast, you can lose 200 pounds and not have loose skin. Hi, I'm Chris James, and you all are watching The Healthy Alternative. Today, we have the long-awaited completion, or at least as far as we've come. We probably have a little bit more left, but this is pretty much the completion of Steven's full 180-degree turn. See, most people say 360.
Yeah.
But we're not doing 360s today. We're doing 180s. We going about face, march. We are going to be looking at. We're gonna take a brief dive into your past. We're gonna look at where this all started back in February of 2017, if my memory serves me correctly. We're gonna look at where you started off, briefly looking at where your mental state was. What was some of the things that you were doing to address your depression, your weight, your body as far as disease and everything goes. We're going to look at the progression. We're going to look at some of the issues that were major obstacles in your life. And then we're going to find out where you are today and how you were able to achieve nearly a 200-pound weight loss.
Right there, man.
We're right on the cusp right now. Nearly 200 pounds later, we are going to get into Steven Michael's journey. That's coming up next. Stay tuned. All right, well, listen, man. First, let me say, welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a while.
Yeah, I've been gone, man.
Been gone for a minute. Now I'm back. It's a jump
Been
off.
around the world tonight.
For those who don't know, I posted a picture of you, a before and after picture. I stole one of your posts from out the group and I put it on the YouTube.
Okay.
And people were like, "Yo, is that your brother?" Da 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 da. I don't know. Maybe some people thought that I was you, but people were like, "You starting to look like me." Mm-hmm. So just so y'all know, we are brothers. Okay. So we actually started this journey in our dad's dining room.
Right. Literally.
And now we're back in our dining room in the studio, full circle here. And so, yeah, you are my brother. But just introduce yourself to the audience for those who don't know you.
So what's going on, guys? As Chris stated, my name is Steven Michael, and I am a holistic wellness coach. I specialize in emotional intelligence, helping people to increase their own emotional intelligence and fat loss and dietary strategies. So I guess you could say I'm a self-proclaimed fasting expert strategist.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit more than self-proclaimed. You have some certifications.
I got a few certifications.
Got a few certifications and a pretty elaborate track record as well. Public speaking. We've done several events. Coached hundreds?
Yeah,
maybe even close to 1,000 different clients at this point.
Yeah, just between all, between challenges and my one-on-ones and the group
easily
and the events.
So you know what you're talking about, but you haven't always been here.
No,
you haven't always been here. So let's talk about February 2017.
Take us back.
Let's go back, man. First of all, how tall are you? What did you weigh February 2017?
Okay. So I'm 6'4". Excuse me. So I'm 6'4", and in February 2017, in that video, so that's the first capture, right? So we're talking about that video.
Yeah.
I was, if I remember correctly, I was right in the 350 range. I was like 355, 356, something like that.
Right.
So that's where I was in that video. But just to bring clarity, I was actually larger than that before. So by the time, you reached out to me and I started my fasting journey, I had already been going through the process of dieting, losing weight. Right, I was right at 400 pounds, and I was going to the gym. Right, everyone's gonna understand this. I was going to the gym. I was eating chicken breast, white and brown rice, and broccoli. Right, that's all I was doing. And as I was doing that, I was doing that for months, and I had hit a plateau. And once again, by the time we did that video, I was about 350-ish. But you had reached out to me, and you were like, listen, we've been doing a little something in here in Texas, man. I want you to try something. And I was like, what you want me to try, man? At this point, I'll try anything, because I can't. I plateaued. I can't move. And that's when you really started talking to me about fasting, and you were going to be coming in town, and you were like, well, listen, it'd be great. We can do a video. So make sure you do like 5 days before I get there. And I don't remember exactly, but I believe that I had lost, it was probably around 15, 15 maybe to 18 pounds or so.
Something like that.
In that 5 days. So before you got there, before you did the video, I was in that 370-ish range. So I lost about 30 pounds prior to you reaching out. Then prior to the video, I lost another 15, and that's when we get to the video. So I was smaller because I had already been losing weight.
Right. And I was scared for your life because, obviously I saw you at 400, basically 400 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not only that, it was your mental state, which if you guys go back to that first video that we keep referencing, you will see that he doesn't even have to talk. You could just look at the video. You could look at the video and you could see that you were mentally exhausted, energetically drained, spiritually broken. You were a shell of your former self, right? The brother that I had grown up with. And it was really difficult for me to see you that way, especially because I hadn't seen you in so long leading up to that point. So there was when you and I were together previously, we were living in Cincinnati, and you were going to the gym. I was going to the gym. We were playing dodgeball, once a week. We were going out twice a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We were having a lot of fun living life. You were probably 226, 236 at that time.
Yeah. Oh no, I was like,
56.
I think the lowest I got at that point was like 280, 285.
Okay,
Yeah,
but still 100 pounds, easily 100 pounds lighter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When the last time I had actually spent time with you,
I went we're no 230s. Yeah, I was 285. I looked the best.
You looked, I remember you looked like you were 236 or something, 240. Yeah. So I was afraid for your life, honestly. We've got a history of diabetes in the family. We've had 2 grandfathers pass for different types of cancers and diabetes and different diseases and dementia and all these things. And you were resistant at first.
Was I? I don't remember.
At the very beginning,
I feel like I was always down for this.
You were resistant at first. You were still living in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
When I very first brought it up.
Okay, yeah.
And you were just basically like, bro, I'm working. I don't really have time for this. Like, you were interested, but you didn't have the mental capacity or the energetic reserve to really even consider it.
Hey, man, I was going through it at that point.
Yeah. So, I don't know if we want to fast forward a little bit. So I basically issued a challenge to you. We put together a pretty extensive plan that we adjusted kind of on the fly. So a lot of the curriculum that we developed for AHA came from the experimentation that Steve did, John did, as well as I. But Steven hit some really interesting milestones. So if you guys are familiar with the Fasting Shrink Week, part of how we figured the Fasting Shrink Week was analyzing Steven's fasting. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, during that time frame, it was a total of 3 months, almost exactly 90 days. And I was going to be, you had left, or you were leaving. We did the interview, and I was coming down to Texas for my birthday. And, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to put everything I have into it. I mean, my life was in shambles. But I said, so, I had nothing to lose at this point.
Right.
So what I did was I got one of those big desk calendars that you get from like Staples. I put it on my wall, and I literally every day I said, I'm going to just write something, what my weight is. How do I feel? Like, I'm going to just take notes, really not knowing how beneficial that was going to be to the growth of AJ and, of course, just myself. And there was so much data that we got from watching how everything changed on a day-to-day. And one of the things that happened was I went through this period where I'm like, hey, man, like, I'm doing this 14 days or, fast. And I'm like, my weight has just stopped. Like, it got to the point where I'm like, at one point my weight went up, and I'm like, Chris, I don't understand what's happening here. Right. So we, just through going through this process, I realized that when my weight had stopped, I started taping myself. And right, no one told me to do this. I don't think that maybe you told me, maybe I did. Okay. So I started taping myself during those times, and then I realized I was getting way smaller when I wasn't like actually losing pounds on the scale. And then one day I was like, let me try a different shirt on. And, at that time I was in like at a 4X. And then I tried on a different shirt, and it was like, this is too big, right? And I put on a 3X, and I'm like, this fits me pretty good. Like, what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about these number of X's. It's crazy. Yeah. And at that point, I realized, that during these periods, if you're not losing physical weight, then you're going to start getting smaller. And this is how part of this was data to back up our claim about how fasting tightens the skin, how fasting doesn't leave you with loose skin and things of that nature. A lot of this happens during those fasting periods or those shrink weeks. And when you're going through a fasting cycle or a long fasting cycle, mentally it can be very frustrating to get on the scale and you don't see numbers move, or you get on the scale and all of a sudden you gain a pound or you gain a half a pound and you're like, I didn't eat anything. I don't understand. So it's the most frustrating thing mentally when the scale is not moving. But at the end of the day, us that are going through fasting periods with the intention of not just getting the mental and the spiritual benefit, we want the physical benefit as well, the actual size. This is when that happens. So the shrink week is one of those times where, it can be frustrating, but honestly, that's what you really want. Mm-hmm. You want to be fasting to get to that shrink week, because that's when you'll wake up all of a sudden one morning, you're going to go down 2 pant sizes, or you're going to put on a dress that you wore last week and then it doesn't fit. Yeah. Or a shirt and it doesn't fit. That's what you want. So you really want to get to this process and get to the point where you can go through shrink weeks, so that way you see that massive decrease in your overall size. It's
that explosive contouring and decrease of weight. And just for people that aren't familiar, so the fasting shrink week typically happens if you're fasting and doing like a pure water fast, for example. If you would go 2 weeks, right? So you're fasting for 2 weeks. Anything after 2 weeks, so let's just say you're doing a 21-day fast, day 14 through 21, or around that time frame, you're going to experience literally about a week. It could be 5 days. It could be 8 days. Maybe Steve will give us some more data because we just went through something. So, but basically, you'll go through a time frame where you're not going to see any weight come off, but all the contouring and stuff's going to happen. Correct. So people ask all the time, what is the key? Well, can I fast and lose weight without having loose skin? And I think that Stephen, if no one else can be a testament to this, the answer is yes. Yes. You can fast. You can lose 200 pounds and not have loose skin. Yeah. So autophagy is the key component to, this shrink week. But hydration is another key component, which a lot of people miss out on. Yeah. What was your water intake like when you're doing these long fasts?
So it's very important, unless you are dry fasting, right? Typically with water fasting, you have to drink water. And now we understand that the body is only going to actually assimilate a certain amount of it. But actually drinking water is very important, right? Because a lot of you have collagen and things like that actually help with the elasticity of your skin. That's important. And a lot of times the reason that people deal with the loose skin and such is obviously, number one, the way they're losing weight, but also number two, they're dehydrated. So in order for you to, of course, number one, make sure that you don't have loose skin, you have to do it through fasting. You can't do it through surgery. You can't do it through calorie restriction. It has to be done through fasting, and you have to drink water. I
will say this.
Oh, okay.
One thing that I have seen, because we don't promote it as much, but one thing I've seen people lose it with raw.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
eating.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Eating completely raw. I've seen that as well.
That is a whole nother monster in of itself. Yes. But eating raw will do that as well for you, and fasting. So we'll say that. But as far as like overall water intake, the goal, especially in the beginning, more important than any other time, is going to be in the beginning, and you're going to want to be really trying to hit that 1 gallon a day. That's vitally important. And as your process goes on, right, depending on the length of your fasting, things are going to happen, right? So it may be difficult to start hitting that number. And this is part of the process, but you really want to be shooting for that gallon.
So you started fasting, you started dropping a tremendous amount of weight, you started contouring, you're dropping pant size, you're dropping shirt sizes. Clearly, this was motivating you. One of the questions I get a lot is, can you exercise while you're fasting? And you did a lot of this early, exploration into long-term fasting, exercising. What were some of your findings?
So when it comes to exercise and fasting, I get this question as well. And when this question is asked to me, I like to do something that it's like the cardinal sin for questions. It's answering the question with a question, right? As a cardinal sin, like you don't answer a question with a question. Right. So someone said, Stephen, can I work out? And then my question is always, why are you going to work out? What is your purpose of working out while you're fasting, right? This is very important. And I usually get the answer, well, I just want to lose more weight, right? Like that's typically the reason. And the reason that we think that way is because that's what we've been programmed to think, that the way that you lose weight is by decreasing calories, increasing activity equals weight loss. But we know just from our world, if we look around, that's actually not true. That actually doesn't work. So there is no actual physical weight loss benefit by fasting and working out and going to the gym. Now, with that being said, there are benefits to working out while fasting as well, right? So we know that human growth hormone skyrockets like in the first 72 hours of any fast. So if you are going to the gym because you are an athlete or you want to build muscle, or you're only doing short fasts and you specifically want to do like fasted training, fasted cardio, things of that nature, then sure. Right? Go to the gym to take benefit of that HGH production, right? You don't have to get it from some sort of shot or a pill. You can get it naturally, and that will help with muscle production. Now, the benefit of muscle production, having more muscle, is it requires more energy to maintain muscle than fat. So by having more muscle in your body, you can essentially burn more calories, which essentially helps you to decrease the amount of fat in your body. Here's the part of this that a lot of us don't think about, because that sounds great. You're like, I want more muscle. Let's do that. But we have to think of the mindset of the dieter, right? The person that is on what I like to call the wellness wheel, right? So like the rat race, the person that's always dieting. They're constantly dieting. They've been doing it their entire life. We have to think about the mindset of that person. The mindset of that person typically is going to measure success based upon the scale. That's 95% of dieters. Measure success based upon the scale. So think about this. If that's the mindset of the person, and we know that that's how they think, and that's how they measure success, if you put that person and they go to the gym and they're increasing muscle production, and they're fasting, and they're working out, and they're getting stronger, right? We know that muscle has density. It has size to it. So what is it going to do? It's going to then increase weight. Right? So if you increase weight, and yes, you may be decreasing fat, right? So you're increasing muscle, but you're decreasing fat, your body will then actually show. So we have this word called toning, right? Which is really kind of a misnomer. It is a kind of a myth because you can't actually tone your body. What you can do is you can increase muscle or you can decrease fat, which essentially is what we consider toning. But, they're not one and the same. It's kind of they're not one and the same. So when we think of the mindset of the dieter, if they measure success based upon the scale, then going to the gym and then working out and then seeing that scale move very slowly, but you're not eating and you're in the gym and you're like killing yourself, it's going to be very uncomfortable. And you think that the scale is going to be moving faster, but it won't. It will actually move slower. So this actually, on a mentality level, works against you, right? So if you are going to be doing that, you got to know what you're walking into, and most people don't. And even when you do know what you're walking into, once again, when we're pre-programmed to measure success based upon the scale, even if you're sitting here watching this and you're like, well, I know this is going to happen, even when you see it happening in real life, it's not enough. That foundational thought of the scale's not moving is it's going to overpower everything that you're actually working to do. So is the gym, is it beneficial for muscle production? Sure, right? Because you're increasing HGH. Is it beneficial for you if you are trying to lose more weight or lose weight faster? No. And then it actually can work against you and it can make it much more difficult to fast. So in the long run, it actually, for most people, will do more harm than good, particularly on a mental level, not physical.
And see, that right there is the mind of a coach, right? Because most people are going to think basically fasting is good for you. Fasting helps weight loss. Eating well is good for you. It helps with weight loss. Diet or exercise is good for you. It helps with weight loss or building up muscle. They're not going to understand the intricacies of how you would really manage all of these things together. Yeah. So this is the benefit of not just the knowledge that we present, but also the experience. Because a lot of people, who have this type of knowledge, they get it from books. I think what makes AHA special, what made your first real successful video special, is the fact that we're just genuinely speaking about our own experience. And that seems to resonate with people, and it seems to help people a great deal. So at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you're going to have to decide how you want to approach things. I think it's good to give people all of the information and let them make their own decisions. Yeah. But yeah, that's a really good response. So at this point, right, you've dropped quite a few pounds. You've been, working out, and you've kind of played around with that. What were some of the issues that you had resolved? We don't have to go through all of them because we already did that, but maybe, a couple of major issues that you resolved. And then, what was the next phase of your journey after that?
Okay. So we're talking about the end of that 90 days, basically?
Yeah. So we did the end of the 90 days. What were some of the issues that you had resolved?
Okay. Yeah. So at that time, I had tons of insulin resistance, which I didn't really know at the time. So like the back of my neck was really dark, right? Which is a massive sign of insulin resistance. Black bags under the eyes, right? Another large sign of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, of course, it's typically in people with diabetes, right? So I never necessarily had a diagnosis, but that's just simply because I didn't go to the doctor. But obviously being understanding the symptoms, I had diabetic nerve pain. I had issues sleeping. I had, if I didn't eat, I would start to feel queasy, every few hours. So I resolved those issues, right? I had issues with my blood pressure. Like I was at the doctor the one time with my son, and he took my blood pressure. And he's like, your blood pressure's really high. And I'm like, oh, doc, I'm a little bit bigger. Every time I go to the doctor, it's a little elevated.
Right.
And he was like, you know what? Go ahead. We're gonna set you up with with an appointment. Come back. We'll go ahead and we'll get you on something. We'll get you taken care of. And I was like, yeah, no problem, doc. I never scheduled that. Like, I'm not coming back. I'm not getting on medication, right? But I knew that I had issues with my blood pressure as well. Like, I couldn't feel temperature, So I was always hot. Like, I would go outside in the wintertime with like just a shirt, and I'm like, it's a little chilly because my skin was cold, but I wasn't cold. I was dealing with iron issues, which I didn't really know that I had, but I was dealing with issues with my iron. So I had an absorption issue, right? And then also I was dealing with like issues with my liver. So, once again, it was undiagnosed fatty liver. So, those are probably some of the big stickouts. Oh, also, I got a lot, but I get this last one. I had issues with joint pain. So it wasn't arthritis. It was more of tendonitis. And for a year, I had to wear like braces on my wrists because I had like explosive inflammation in my wrists, my lower back, and my knees. And it got to the point where I literally, I worked on a computer. I couldn't type. It was a little TMI, man. We get into this stuff. Like I couldn't wipe myself going to the bathroom, right? Like I had to literally figure out ways to wipe myself when going to the bathroom because my wrists would hurt so bad for a year. Like it got to a point where if I had to go poop, I had to take a shower afterwards because I couldn't properly get myself clean. Living like that is terrible, right? And I know that I'm the type of person that I'm going to talk about this stuff because I know there's people out there that deal with it also.
Absolutely.
They're not going to talk about it. It's embarrassing. It's like I'm 28, 30, 30 years old, and I'm, that's something that would happen to someone who's like 80.
Yeah.
I can't wipe myself.
Right. Like you have to have a nurse.
Yeah. That's typical. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And it was like, no one's is ever going to know this. No one knew this. And actually,
I didn't know.
I've never even shared it before. So that's a new, new
that's
thing.
bro. That's and you're absolutely right. The level of embarrassment or the shame that you would carry around knowing that. And not being able to tell the people that are closest to you. I just can't imagine. And some of the things that people out there are dealing with, and it's like. It's unfortunate because it's almost like sometimes we have to get to these extremes in order to spark change. But then it's like, but you don't, though. Like, you don't have to get that bad.
Yeah.
But somehow we've conditioned ourselves sometimes to just let ourselves get so insanely bad to where now it's like it's do or die.
Yeah. The point of no return. Like, if you continue on this route for another year or two, you're in trouble.
You're in major trouble.
You're in deep doo-doo, so to speak.
I want y'all to understand something, man. Just take a moment and just think about where you are in your health and wellness journey. Think about, the yo-yoing you've done, that wellness wheel, just constantly on that wheel, just running and not going anywhere. And think about what these potential outcomes could be for you if you do not start making progress. I don't even want to say taking it seriously because I think people do take it seriously, but there's a lot of obstacles. So there's obstacles, right? You're not allowed to just run into an obstacle and give up. You've got to learn how to hurdle these obstacles, go around them. I don't care what you get, a kite, fly over it. Like, you know what I mean? We gotta start making progress because this is a 28-year-old man, at least at the time. Right?
I look 20.
having the issues of an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
None of us are immune to this.
Yeah.
We're all susceptible to this, especially with the amount of processed foods and sugars, the vaccinations and everything that we're taking into our bodies. So you saw some incredible outcomes. We were very excited to share that with the group. And then you hit more obstacles. Life happened.
Yeah. So, obstacles, as you stated, are going to come. And I thought that at this point, I was unstoppable, right? I thought, I had been doing this for less than a year, right? I lost 90 pounds in 90 days almost to the letter. I think it was like 89.5.
Yeah, it was extremely close.
It was almost to the letter. And I just was like, I feel unstoppable. Like, so then I continued that process, and I kept losing weight. And life happens. And what I did not do while I was working this process is that I did not work on myself deeply, spiritually. I did not work on myself mentally, right? I wasn't going through, this healing process. I wasn't in therapy. I wasn't doing anything. Things naturally were happening because I was releasing toxicity. I was releasing weight. So naturally, you do that. There's a connection that automatically comes. But I wasn't deep diving into a lot of things. I just thought, well, Chris, my problem is the weight. Mm-hmm. That's my problem. Mm-hmm. If I get the weight off, I'll be good, right? That's what I was thinking. And I did, right? And then what ended up happening is, and I know I talked about this in a deeper video, so I won't get too deep into it. I lose my best friend to suicide. And what I did not realize is that I carried guilt for that situation because from what I knew, I was one of the last people that he had spoke with the night prior. He called me. He was trying to get me to come out to Pennsylvania to pick him up, right? He was like, listen, let's just get a hotel. We can drink, I got to get out of here, right? And I didn't because, I didn't have to work the next day. I was going to go out there the next day anyway. So I was like, hey, man, I'll be out there tomorrow. You'll be good. You know what I'm saying? You'll be all right. It was like 2 a.m. Like, you'll be okay. Next morning, it wasn't okay, right? So I felt guilty for that. And I took on the guilt, the shame of, that situation, the grief, and all of what I thought, the reasoning for what I was doing, my purpose, all that went out the window. And from that point, I just started going back up. My diet completely out the window. I went from, eating, the kale mix, right, with mushrooms, and I was vegetarian. I was moving alkaline. I was moving vegan, and I went from that to almost overnight Taco Bell, McDonald's. I was in the bar every night. It was bad. And then, of course, slowly but surely, I just started to creep right back up. And then it got to the point where I got up to, at that point, right about 280, 285-ish in that area. So I'd gained, a significant amount of weight.
Yeah.
And then, because of me drinking, I was reckless. I was drinking. I was getting in trouble, right? I was in trouble with the Johnny Law. And then, right, I talked about this in another video, but then because of that situation, I got into a lot of trouble. I was in a car accident, and I had been drinking, and they got me, right? They got me. So I had to sit it down for a little bit, right? I went away, and during that time, I did the one thing that you should do when something like that happens is I utilize my time, right? And during that time frame, I started to really dig into spirituality and try to figure out what it is that I truly believe in. I learned who I was. I started to figure out some of my core issues, right? Why is it that I drink? Why is it that I allow people to talk me into doing things that I don't want to do? Right? I started to understand the reason that I am who I am, right? How I make decisions and why I make those decisions. And then the most important thing about all of this, I began to take radical responsibility for everything that was happening in my life. So radical responsibility is more or less not just taking accountability, right? Accountability is going to be the things that I can control with my decisions. Responsibility is things that can be shared. So if something happens, you and me can both take responsibility, right? So radical responsibility is basically like, I don't care if you take responsibility, I will take responsibility for the whole thing. Right. Now, that doesn't necessarily relieve you of responsibility, but what it does is it makes me in control of my decision making and everything that happens around me. So
it's powerful.
Right. So by taking radical responsibility, I wasn't, I could have blamed everybody in the world for all these things that happened. And it's like, no, it was on me. Right. it happened. Everything happened the way it happened. I'm glad it happened. It happened for a reason. And it has dramatically changed my life in such a great way. But that wouldn't have happened if I did not work during that time and then continue to work, right? After I got out, I came to Texas, and then I continued to work, right? So then, of course, we did another video. It was my comeback video. And if you look at that video, I was much bigger than I am now. In that time, I sprouted up probably another 40 pounds. I was about 320 or so when I got out and I got to Texas. And from that point, I then started to work again on this journey.
Yeah, and it's when you got back, when you moved to Texas, was it been like 2.5 years now?
Yeah, yep. Good job.
It was incredible seeing you put into practice what you had learned, because it's very rare, especially in that period of time. And it was not that it's a short period of time, but it is when you're in regular life and you're working 9 to 5 and you're dealing with girlfriends and all this other stuff. But to be able to put into practice what you had learned, and implement it as a lifestyle, I was astonished. I was like, yo, this dude is the real deal. To the point where, and at one point you were very reluctant about getting back into AHA and beginning to teach. And I'm like, listen, I wouldn't put you back out there if you weren't ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's a certain level of responsibility that I have towards the community and making sure that the leadership is in a healthy place. And you were showing me something I'd never seen before, and I admired it. And especially with everything that you had gone through, it was so easy for you to just simply blame anybody else or make excuses. I've seen people make excuses for much less.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so then we started to, get you locked back in. There was another thing about it. So when you all, so now just for the audience, right? When you all are going through your things, your obstacles, if you can get ahead of it, if you can start doing some sort of therapy, we now offer several courses that are designed to help give you tools to prepare you for this, because we're taking what we've learned as a whole, and we're creating programs and things to help you guys so that you don't necessarily have to go through it the way that Steve did.
Yeah, don't nobody need to go through that.
Man. I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous on many different levels. I
almost died in that. I could have died in that car, man.
Yeah,
I got an accident with an 18-wheeler. I mean, my car. What'd you say? You said my car looked like a crushed soda can.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember any of it. The only reason the crazy thing is that I saw it, right? I saw the video of it, and I just. I'm here for a reason, man.
Yeah,
I'm here for a reason.
It's not worth the risk. You got children, you have loved ones. Even when people are in that depressed state and they feel like nobody loves you, it's not true.
Yeah.
It's just there's a chemical imbalance, there's a hormonal imbalance. There are maybe even energetic influences that are telling you that no one loves you, no one cares about you, but it's not true. But the key is we've already been through this. So if we can get ahead of it and help guide you guys past this type of stuff, once again, we can make this process more seamless. So now, we're developing the 40-day class. Steve starts teaching at the same time. Now that he's locked into the community, because what I knew was going to happen is we can get you locked into the community. You start learning and you start growing rapidly. It's a fuel source, which is why I think the community is so important. This is why one of the things we just did was we moved. We shouldn't say we moved. We took the Facebook group and we duplicated it on our own platform called AHA Communities. And AHA Communities is a place that we host where it's just purely our community. And I think that community is so powerful for accountability, for knowledge. Our community is so freaking knowledgeable. We have so many students. You know what I'm saying? And they love helping each other. And I knew once you got back in that environment, it was going to help to continue to keep you motivated and propel you forward. So now You had several different goals for when you got here, what you wanted to accomplish. Let's start talking about that transition since you've been in Texas to where you are today.
So when I started that process, my goal was to obviously hit a certain number. I wanted to lose 100 pounds. Because I was like 320, so I was like, yeah, I gotta get down at least 220. There was work I needed to do, weight wise, for my health, but not just that. There was, at this point, I needed to establish myself. I came here with nothing, right? I had nothing. I had no job. I had no career. I mean, literally.
Left your family?
I left my family. My credit is gone. I had nothing. Literally, I had like $700 and I shipped my clothes, the little bit of clothes that I had and my, like, some equipment, and I shipped it here in boxes. And then you bought my plane ticket. I couldn't even.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah. We're gonna just let that go then. You good. You two take care.
I probably been told you just that you're good.
You know what I'm saying? But so I had nothing. So I have these big goals of wanting to, decrease my weight again, and then I got all the stuff I got to do, and I went to work. I went to work, and I get a little emotional thinking about all the stuff that I had to do at that point. Because if you've ever been in that situation at all, getting back into the real world, there's a lot of responsibility that others put on you. There's a lot of meetings and stipulations, all this stuff. And it was tough. But I went through the process and I got plugged in. And that's when, I lost a little bit of weight. And then I came back into AHA. We did the video. And that's when I met Jasmine. And when she reached out, she was like, I want to do what you've done. I want to fast. And I'm like, well, I've done a little coaching, but, I got like a month program. And then she was like, well, I'm trying to lose 100 pounds too. And I said, okay. And I was like, okay, well, have it for a month. And then, from there, you go on your own, you figure it out. And then Jasmine just ended up being, she helped to motivate me to a level I've never been. Because after that first month, she lost like 25 pounds. And then she was like, all right, I want another month. And then she bought like 2 months the next month. I'm like, I don't have a program for this. Like, I don't have this. I don't know how I'm going to coach you right through this whole process. I don't have anything made. It was the 30-day program. So then through that, I had to then create. And then I started teaching her things that I was learning and things that I was doing, putting together the 40-day wellness class with you. And then so we went through that process together. And it grew me so much because I'm like, I don't want to let her down. I don't want to look like I'm messing up or anything. So through that process, I ended up losing 100 pounds. And then after I lost that 100 pounds, I then basically was stagnant, right? So then I became stagnant because it was like, okay, that first year I was here, things were going good. We were doing the 40-day wellness class. Like my weight had pretty much maintained and it was starting to creep up a little bit. So as I started to focus more on like coaching the classes, I was traveling, then I started to lose focus of what I was eating, right? And I was still eating good, but I wasn't doing good enough. And so then just over that next year and a half or so, then my weight just slowly started to kind of creep up, right? My children came out for this last summer. And when they came out, all bets are off. Right? So, they've never been to Texas. They've only been on a plane one time. So I'm, of course, being a dad, I want to do everything for them, right? We want to give our children everything. So I did, right? We did all kinds of stuff. And during that process, then I got even more off track. And then I knew that I was going to start. I said, listen, I gotta get back. I gotta get back, man, because I done put on a few pounds, right? And I ended up. I got my notes here, so I'm gonna be looking at those. But that is how I ended up right before I started this fast.
Right, and the this is once again when you look at the ebbs and flow of this journey, this is not the same as the first time, the first obstacle, right? This one's a much softer, gentler obstacle. It almost just feels like a non-barrier. It's just like it's there, but it's not there. And you're just kind of living life, and things are just slowly getting out of hand.
Correct. That's the best way to explain it. It is your focus. My focus just waned a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So my focus shifted from physical, weight loss, food, and it shifted more to career, finance, growing, and helping everyone else.
Right.
So with doing that, I was still taking classes. I was still getting certificates. Like I was still growing in just in a completely different way. And it's okay. That's fine. And I believe that is how you should grow. Like you can't grow and truly focus on all of this stuff at the same time, right? Something is going to, lose focus. It's
right.
going to happen. So what ended up happening is I started moving spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. I was growing, but then my physical started to just wane a little bit. So the weight gain was nowhere near like it was before.
Right.
It was just, hey, you lost focus over here. So at that point, I said, let me go ahead and get this together. I said, let me take some time away. Let me just back off, and I know exactly what I need to do. Let me just implement.
Now, one of the things that I had noticed during that time, just in general, what I've been noticing is, depending on how hard you go, for how long, and what level of intention, whatever your knowledge base is, you're going to get to a certain place. If certain people are dealing with energetic blockages, gut issues, or digestion issues, if you don't properly rectify those issues, the slippage increases exponentially.
Correct.
Right? Because you're not digesting food well. And so I'm curious to know, for you, did you notice that? And if so, how did you begin overcoming that?
So, very good question. What I noticed was that what I was eating, which I thought was like, well, I'm eating the right things most of the time. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all I was perfect. I was not. There were times where, hey, man, maybe I want a little something, right? But my little something at those times was different from other people's little something. So, but I was definitely cheating on my diet, in the sense of what I'm trying to do. But what I was finding is that, number one, my digestive system was not working very well. And I was having to fast all the time in order to maintain my weight. I wasn't able to maintain my weight by what I was eating. So it just eluded me, and I couldn't understand why. And I ended up going to Florida because I linked up with an art company out there, and I went out to do a speech to tell my story. And I went to do a speech. And while I was down there, right before I went, I had come across a gentleman who was doing live blood analysis. So they would prick your finger, take your blood, put on a slide, and then read your blood. And it was such an eye-opening thing for me, because when I did that, I found out why things were happening, right? I understood that because I felt like my digestive system wasn't working properly, but then I knew it wasn't, right? My blood told me it wasn't. And then I realized that I was having issues with Candida, right? Which people, they hear Candida and they think, oh, parasites. And it's like, well, these are different. Candida essentially is a parasite because it's eating a lot of your nutrition, but really it's a bacteria. We all have it. But I dealt with Candida Overgrowth, right? Which basically means Candida is now overtaking the bacteria in your gut, the bacteria in your colon, and it's then eating and absorbing a lot of nutrition, and it also is very influential. So Candida also is going to be one of the reasons, if you have cravings for a lot of sugars and sweets and breads and cheeses and dairies, you probably have issues with Candida. It's highly intelligent. And we don't think about bacteria in that way. Let me be clear. It's highly intelligent and influential. So I started to then research, and I started to make a few changes. I saw some benefit, but then I knew at the end of the day, I said, I need to make a big change. And one of the big things when dealing with Candida is you can't cheat. So you can't, eat a certain way or, take herbs. And then one weekend, you just have a whole pasta Italian feast with breadsticks and this and that. It'll just feed the Candida and it'll come back, right? So people deal with Candida and they're on these diets for 6 months, 8 months, a year, because they keep breaking their diet.
Right.
So the only other way to deal with it is basically remove everything, which fasting does that. And then, of course, you can take herbs during that process. And when you do that, then you need to then feed yourself something beneficial. So that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, this is huge. Obviously, Candida is a major problem. A lot of people have it.
He's terrible. Oh,
More people have it than what they know, but the Candida community is huge. And
It's
so
huge.
learning how to successfully navigate Candida overgrowth within itself is a huge milestone. And I think it's going to be very impactful for people just hearing how you kind of approach this. But once again, it gets very discouraging to be doing the right things. The things you're eating better than a SAD diet. You're doing your fasting here and there. Weight's not really moving. Or if you have one bad day, it's like you've taken 3 steps backwards, and that becomes extremely frustrating. So being able to have I think it's important to have a game plan. Like you gotta know, you have to know what you're dealing with, and once again, this is where like having some type of leadership really plays a huge role, because when you're trying to figure this stuff out on your own, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you're spending a lot of money getting different testing done, trying different products, things of that nature. That's actually another question I have for you. Were there any notable products? I know you had mentioned some herbs and things. Was there anything notable that you did that like really helped move this process along? Or
So during that process, when I started to understand that I was dealing with digestive issues, right? That was what it was. And then of course there was a little bit of a list of different things. But one of the major things that that helped me in that process is really not necessarily about what I added, but one of the major things is what I subtracted. So obviously carbohydrates, right, and not whole food carbohydrates, right, but processed carbohydrates. So the breads, the pastas, the a lot of the sugars, all the extra sugars in our food. So number one, removing a lot of that stuff. And then also what I then began to do was I started to add certain things to my diet that are going to help with digestion, right? And because I knew that was the issue. So obviously I wanted to make sure that I was having whole foods. So papaya, pineapple, right? They're both of them have extremely powerful enzymes that assist with the digestion of your food. And then also I was taking a supplement that just helped with Candida. Make sure garlic thing. There's different spices that you can take, pepper, cayenne, right? There's things you can take, but the issue is that if you are feeding it, it's not going to work. Okay. So for the most part, those are the only things that are really like added when it came to supplementation. And really, I was just focused on removal of things and then adding the digestive enzymes to my process. Digestive enzymes in and of themselves, I believe in the short term would be beneficial. What was happening is, or what I was finding though, is that the digestive enzymes help to break down the food that's going to be in your stomach. So when you eat the food, if you're not creating enough digestive enzymes, or you have issues with Candida, then you're gonna have a hard time actually breaking down the food in your stomach. And then what will happen is, as it goes through the remainder of the gut or the digestive tract, if it's not broken down properly, then your body can't absorb it. You have bacteria in your gut that also breaks down food as well. But what I was finding is And this is counterintuitive. So you have to kind of play this depending on yourself. But what I was finding is that I was taking like digestive enzymes, and then I was having like really big poops, but the color was off, right? And then also I was getting them and they were just kind of runny. So what was happening is that a lot of the fiber was getting stuck right in my system, and I started getting bloated.
Wow.
Right, because the enzymes were breaking things down so fast, like my gut wasn't actually getting the fiber. So I would eat a salad, and then vegetables, and then the next day I was bloated, and I'm like,
That's got to be frustrating.
what's happening? Like I felt I'm Italian for a second, right? Like it's not like I was eating pasta and gabagool, like you know what I'm saying? Like what? I don't understand. I wasn't eating cheesesteaks, right?
Right.
So it was that I was learning in this process, right? So in the short term, I believe that digestive enzymes for certain people can be beneficial, but if you find yourself getting bloated while you're taking enzymes or you're taking anything for the gut, what you may be doing is it may be almost too effective, and you're almost bypassing the digestive system. If your poop, for example, is too green, right, you're not absorbing the nutrition from the vegetables, and it's not going into your body.
Yeah.
Right. So I was seeing basically everything that was coming in, it was coming right out. I wasn't absorbing anything, and because I was doing that, I was getting bloated. So I'm like, okay, I can see how this is beneficial, but I can see how it's not, right? So I then said, okay, I know what I got to do, but I don't want to do it, but I got to do it. So
It's the easy. It's the hard. It's the simple solution.
It's a simple solution because I had a very good understanding. I knew exactly what I needed to do. I between my fasting and my diet, but it was going to be difficult. And that's how I started to then come up with my next plan.
So what exactly was? Let's talk about what your next plan was. What you've been doing more recently, and let's get into like the nuts and bolts of that.
Hey man, we're gonna get into the real juice now.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the juice. We're gonna start putting it in the juicer now.
Okay, we're gonna put it in the juicer. Sorry, so I got my tablet here. I'm gonna start going and giving you a few numbers. Okay, so when I started this process, my daughter was here in the summertime, and I send out to my clients. I'll send a sheet. And it gives you all your space for all your measurements. There's a little body on it. It says before and after, right? And if you guys know children, they can really get you going depending on what they say, right? So I'd taken all of my measurements and just previously, and my daughter saw it and she looked at it because I have it hanging on my wall. And this right before she left, she said, "Daddy," she said, "what's this?" I was like, you know what I mean? She said, "Before and after." She said, "Well, you only have the before filled out." And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "When are you going to do the after?" I said, "Oh, for real?" Oh, I said, "Okay, you got me." I felt I was caught. You know what I mean? Like it out of the mouth of babes, they say. And from that point, I said, "All right, I know what it is. I know what I got to do." So what I was going to do was I said I'm going to take a social media break. I did have a few clients at the time, so I finished with those clients, but I wasn't taking any more clients during this period. I got off Instagram. I got off Facebook. I got off Messenger. I mean, I was gone. No one could contact me unless you had my phone number, or you could reach me in the communities because I ain't leaving the communities. Y'all got y'all back.
Before we move on, what is the significance of that? Because I think a lot of people that will potentially go over their head. What does getting off social media have anything to do with losing weight or digestive health?
That's okay. So here's the one thing that a lot of people don't think about, or one of the biggest issues that people have with their weight or losing weight is, it's going to sound simple, they start in the wrong place. Right. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by they start in the wrong place? Right. You can't spot reduced fat. So what do you mean by you start in the wrong place? a lot of times people say, well, I want to lose weight because that's the end solution that you're trying to get to. That's the goal, is to physically lose the weight and get smaller. So we think, well, let's start attacking this, right? But what we don't think about is the whole journey, the whole process. How did we get to this? Our weight, the overweight, fat, wherever we are physically, what we don't like, this is the symptom. This is just a symptom. And you're trying to heal the symptom, but we need to get to the root of the problem, which is all the way over here, right? So the root of my problem at this time was, of course, distractions. I was not focused. It wasn't that I didn't have the information. It wasn't that I wasn't implementing it, but I was distracted. I found myself at this point, because I was growing so much, and I became a well-known person through our community. I was giving away so much of my energy. I didn't have the energy to go to the gym like I wanted to eat like I wanted to. I was stressing myself too much. And when we are stressed too much, that will cause us to then reach for our coping skills. Yep. And I got a lot of coping skills and I can use them well, but food is always a foundational coping skill. So if I'm using food for coping more than I should, I'm going to gain weight, right? So instead of me having my little treats once a week, I was having them 4 or 5 times a week, right? Or then I got to the point where I was having them every day. And it's not because like I didn't understand or whatever, but I was putting out too much energy to other people, and I needed to then preserve. I needed to refill my tank.
Got to recharge.
Yeah, I had to recharge. So getting off social media allowed me the distance to put the work in that I already know to put in. I just wasn't able to do it because I didn't have the energy to actually put the work in.
You know, it's funny. People always complain about not having enough time, right?
Yeah.
But one of the most distracting things that we do in modern times is social media.
Yeah.
And at this point, most of the apps or even your phone will track how much screen time you're using. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be social media, just the amount of time you're on your phone. If you guys look at the amount of hours that you're spending on your phone every week, you might reclaim 5, 10, 20 hours.
I was over 10 hours.
You know what I'm saying? And that's light.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that spend more than 10 hours on it. But 10 hours a week?
10 hours is a lot.
That's a lot of time. Imagine taking that time and listening to books, right? Audio books, or learning, paying attention to your gut health and learning about gut health and spending that time there, or spending that time in the gym, or spending that time learning new recipes.
Yeah.
You could take a cooking class. There's so many different things you could do with that time. And all we want to do is make excuses. Don't got enough time.
It's the number one excuse. I don't have time. I'm busy. I got kids. I got that. Listen, I get it. I mean, the amount of time that I got back just from getting off social media was insane. I said, where did all this time come from?
Yeah.
Like, where did I go all this time? I mean, it was just like, I don't know what to do. You know, and I'm reading every day. I'm now watching movies. I'm watching documentaries. Like, I'm learning. I'm going out. I'm taking walks. I'm working on programs. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. And I still, I'm like, bro, I have too much time. So getting off social media, you don't realize. And then I get back on just recently, and I'm like, I instantly can tell how it was taking all my time. And then there are points where I'm like, okay, let me just put this away, right? Because I've never done that before. But
nice.
like, instead of responding to messages, instead of responding to emails, I'm like, you know what? Let me just put this away. I turn it off. I sit my phone down. I'm like, what do I need to do? Right? So I learned something very valuable during that time that I've never taken a social media break before.
Right.
Like, I learned, like, you have plenty of time to do everything. Like, but if you're just sitting there, just scrolling, responding to messages, I mean, you don't realize how much time is actually
it eats. And also the algorithms are designed to hoard as much of your time as possible.
Anything that causes people to stay on app or in app, that's what they push.
That's what they're pushing.
So
and then on top of that, and I'm curious to know, what about the energetic draw? So we know the time draw, but what about the energetic draw that being on social media takes, the negativity, the food ads, and, all of the different influences of that arena?
It is, I never truly understood that until I went away and then came back. I know we all know that these things happen. We talk about it.
Right.
But you don't really understand what they push at you until you walk away from it. I wasn't seeing food ads anywhere. Like, just walking around my daily life, there's no billboards. I just didn't see trash. But in my head, when I think about, ads and stuff like that, before I got off, I just know, oh yeah, man, they're always pushing stuff to us, always. But it's like, oh, well, where's it coming from? And a lot of it is coming from our phones.
Yeah.
Not just food. Just general negativity, divisiveness, right? The things that are pushed on TikTok, men arguing with women, just everything that's out there right now is divisive, and it is negative, and we eat that up. It feeds into your spirit, it feeds into your energetic being, and it just draws from you. And I felt the draw as soon as I came back. I felt it instantly. Wow. But when I was gone, I was like, I'm charged up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even ate today yet, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
we out here, man.
I'm tell you what, man, I love coming off of long fasts or just periods of time when I'm fasting. I naturally go to one meal a day.
Yeah.
I just did my fast last week. I think I ended it last week or something like that. And once again, right back into, I pretty much do one meal a day anyway, but I altered it a little bit, but just right back into one meal a day, like it's nothing to me. And that helps you maintain so easy when you're only eating once a day. And it's not like I'm doing OMAD. It's just lifestyle.
Man, I don't even think, I'm sitting here right now. I'm not hungry. Could I eat? Sure, I could eat. Right. But then I also started to learn a lot of stuff. Like, part of it was learning, part of it was implementing. And during my time away, I started to learn a few things about hunger and having conversations with myself. And, you got it. Well, I'm gonna talk about it somewhere else. You ain't gonna get that here.
Okay.
You're gonna have to.
They
ain't gonna get that here.
You have to get into a group or something.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come. You're gonna have to come into to another group.
Oh, you got maybe a program or something.
Yeah. We're gonna get it to you though.
Let's keep talking about what you developed. So you got off social media. Yeah. What else did you do to prepare for this?
So I got off social media. I am a big proponent of putting things in my face. So, right, I put all my information on my whiteboard. I have my why up there. I have a old picture of myself that at the time it was my smallest I'd ever been. And I went to FedEx and I blew it up, had color with gloss paper. I made a chart on my board with tape, and I had days, and I made a plan.
You've made a plan, and you began the process of visualizing.
Yeah.
No,
I started visualizing what I want to do, how I'm going to do it, and where I'm going to get to.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Oh, how far are you? You want me to just
keep going?
Okay. So after I then put the information together, I put the visuals together, I got off social media, and then I started. Now, I will say, now I'm going to go ahead and get into this. So prior to me getting off socials, I said, you know what? Let me just do a fast. Let me just get into it. So now at this time, right, I had started off. I was at 279.2. Right, so that's where I was. So at my lowest when I got here, I was about 225ish or so. And then just over, the next year and a half or so, just weight slowly was kind of just creeping on. And then my kids came, and then I was eating whatever, right? So I was probably bloated, right? I blew up. So I was about 279.2. So I did a quick 5-day fast just because I'm like, I just want to get a little bit of weight
get
off.
restarted.
Yeah, just kind of get things
restarted.
Kick the dirt off. so I did a 5-day fast, and I lost 15 and a half pounds, right? 5 days, 15 and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? I do a few things, man. But that's, it's always nice in the beginning, right? It's always nice in the beginning. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to get off. I'm going to go. I'm going to really get into this. And then I said, I'm going to do my longest fast ever. That was my plan. That was the goal. I said, I'm going to do my longest fast ever. So my longest was 30 days. So if I do 31, I'm good. If I do 31, I'll be all right.
One up yourself.
You know what I'm saying? I'm doing the longest ever. And that was my goal because I told myself, and I'm sure that there's a video out there of me saying this, I ain't never going to do 40 days. Never. You won't catch me dead doing 40 days. Y'all want to fast like Jesus? Y'all go for it. Steve and Michael ain't doing 40 days. I ain't doing that. Right? So then when I made my little chart on my board, right, I had my 30 days planned out and I put a couple extra days on there. I said, well, maybe we'll see what happens. Right? I said, you know what? We'll see what happens. My goal was to, get to a certain number. And, it was get to 200 and 199.9. And I said, I'm fast. So I figured 30 days, man. We'll be all right. We'll get there. Well, as I went through this process, not only did I complete my 30 days, I hit 30 days, and I said, hey, man, we ain't there yet.
Numbers ain't looking right.
The numbers ain't. I mean, the numbers look good, but they ain't looking like they're supposed to look.
Right.
So I said, okay, I guess we'll just add a couple more days. So I went from 30. And I said, I'll do 35. Right. Still beat my record. You know what I mean? I ain't hitting 40 yet.
Right.
Right. So I do 35 and I'm like, man, let's just keep the party going. I hit 35 and I started to hit a stride. Right. I'd never been past this point before. And I'd gone through some shrink weeks during this time.
Yeah. And
I started to hit a stride. Right. I hit about 35 days and I'm like, this is starting to feel normal. The feeling of emptiness, the feeling of being light, the feeling of not eating, just the extra time I had, it started to feel normal. So then I went from 35 and I hit 40.
Never say never.
Never say never, right? So I said, hey, man, me and Jesus, we did it, baby. I'm here, baby. We did it, right? And then I said, you know what? These numbers ain't looking right, man. They ain't looking like they supposed to be looking.
They're not where they need to be.
I ain't there yet. So then I said, 40 days, man. Let's keep the party going. Right? So I went from 40, and then and I think I told you, I was like, hey, man, I don't know, man. About 40, 50 days, I should be all right, man. I should be good. Hit 50, I said, man, these numbers ain't looking right.
Numbers ain't right.
Right? So you know what I did? Say it with me. Let's keep the party going, right? So then I went from 50, and then I was like, you know what, man? Let's just go and see what happens. And through this process, I mean, it just continued that same way. And I ended up doing a total of 65 days.
Incredible.
Of fasting.
65 days.
I ain't eat no food, man. 65
no food.
days.
No food fasting.
65 real hard days. Not just that, right? Because I already know you're going to ask me this question, but I'm going to tell you right now. I wasn't doing, it wasn't just water. I was doing some dry fasting in there too. So there were days, so you talk about this process. There were multiple days where I was doing dry fasting, and I started off this process. The way that I started off on a 3-1 schedule, right? So 3-1, I was doing some hybrid fasting. So 3-1 in the sense of hybrid was I was doing 3 days dry fasting, then I was doing 1 day water. Right? I was doing 3 days.
I remember we talked about that.
Yeah. So then I was doing 3 days dry fasting again, 1 day water, right? And then what I started to do is I started to add a little bit of green juice in there, right? So I was doing a little bit of green juice on the water days.
I'll bring you up out the pits.
Oh my God! I mean, you go from dry fasting to water. It's just like, bro, I'm beat. I'm hurting, right? So when so hybrid fasting is when you're basically taking a bunch of different, dry, water, juice, and then you mix them together to create or formulate. And it was very beneficial.
Yeah.
It allowed me to go from dry fasting, which is extremely powerful and deep, to water, and then adding a little bit of that juice, it helps to kind of bring you back to life, and then you go back into dry.
It's kind of like it's like a death and a rebirth. Like,
man.
over and over.
Yeah, man, they hit you with a Monster Reborn, or you know what I mean, Lazarus action.
Yeah, some Lazarus. You got some Lazarus action.
Yeah, so it was bringing me back. So during this whole time, I'd lost, I think in the first 9 days or something like that. So I think like the first 5 days or the first week, I think I lost 16 pounds. In the first in the first 5 days, because how it started, the way I did, it was like 5 days, lost like 16, 17 pounds.
Crazy.
Right? And then the next week, I had lost like 9. Like, I mean, so I was almost down like almost 30 pounds in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, brother, 30 days.
You was like, I'm gonna rock
this out.
And then what happened?
I was sadly mistaken.
What happened after that, Steve?
I was overconfident in what I thought was going to happen, right? Because what I did not factor in is the effectiveness of dry fasting, right? That's what changes. Dry fasting changes the game. So I was losing so much so fast. The body's smart. Right, we just talked about this earlier. You're gonna go through shrink periods, right? But you know, with dry fasting, depending on where you're at, bloating, hydration. I mean, you can lose 6 pounds in one day. You know, a week into the fast, you do a dry fast, you drop 6 pounds. The body has to catch up, and it is highly intelligent. It's all it wants to do is survive. So I lost 20 plus pounds. It said, "Hey man, we gotta slow you down a little bit. We gotta pump the brakes a little bit." So then very quickly, I mean, like 10, 11 days, I started going into shrink periods. And then because of how I was fasting, I was losing weight real quick. And then my body would say, whoa, pause, slow down. You're losing too much. And I'll go through shrink periods.
It's that construction sign, that slow down construction sign.
Yeah, where it's
that
like,
hits you with the slow,
stop. Hold on. So what was happening is that every few days, body stop, right? I was going through shrink periods. So throughout this entire 65-day period, the majority of it, I was losing very slowly. The interesting thing, actually, is that the first 2 weeks, well, the first 9 days, I had consistently lost every day for 9 days straight. After 9 days, I'm talking about a 65-day process. After 9 days, it was no longer consistent. There were days that I would lose. There were days that I would say the same. There were days that I would go up. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 days in a row I'd lose, right? But it was basically the next, 40 days was all shrink.
Sporadic. That's crazy.
I mean, and there were periods where I went through. I was in the 30s, right? And going from 239 down to 229, 10 pounds. And it took me 19 days to move 10 pounds.
Incredible.
19 days. But a lot of that is due to the fact that I had shrunk so much earlier. I mean, and I had lost, I got these inches here. It's crazy. I mean, the amount of inches I lost is crazy. And I didn't realize it in the time because I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm focused, right? I'm focused. But then I go back and I do all the numbers, just like I did the first time in the fast. And the amount of inches was astronomical, right? But before I go through the inches, at the end of the fast, I got to, I was 221, and I got stuck there once again, right? And I said, you know what? I end this fast in about 2 weeks. I said, man, let me go. I ain't taking no root products during this whole process. And I said, oh, you know what I did? I took Zero In, and I love Zero. It's my favorite one. But then I was fasting. I'm like, this is a little too much for me.
Zero In really starts to stimulate you when you fast.
Yeah, it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks in. I just took 2 like I normally do, and I said, this is a little too much. I just feel like I was nervous.
Zero In strong. You gotta know how to manage that.
Yeah, I said, nah, we're good. So I just said, all right, well, I'll just chill out on root. I'll just focus up, yada, yada, yada. So then I started taking Restore because Restore, of course, is good for the gut. It's good for the microbiome. It's fantastic. So in my thinking, I'm like, okay, I have 2 more weeks left. Let me go ahead and start taking Restore. This will get my gut prepared. This will get my gut fed, feeding it the fiber, all the stuff that's in, black seed oil, all the stuff that's in Restore. I said, let me start getting it prepared so that way when I go into my refeed and I'm feeding it the right stuff, it's going to be very happy with me, right? So that's the thought process. As soon as I start taking Restore, I took it one day, right? Took it the first day. The next day, I think I'd gained 0.2 ounces, right? So I went up 0.2, okay? Follow me. The next day, I dropped a pound. The next day, a pound. The next day, a pound. So I had 5 days in a row.
Right.
And I said, hold on a second. I haven't dropped 5 days in a row since day 9, since the first week.
Wow.
So all that last 40 days, that last month and a half, I had not dropped continuously 5 days in a row. I said, now hold on a second. I'm currently at 218, 217, and I'm dropping a pound a day. But I was at 230, 240, and I was going up and down like I wasn't moving.
Right.
And I said, well, what did I do different? I said, Restore. That's the only thing I did different, right?
Yeah.
So then as I continue Restore throughout the entire time, and then every single day I dropped. Every single day. I mean, there were days that I had drop a pound and a half. I mean, there was one day where I only dropped 2 ounces. That was the slowest day, other than that, that little uptick right in the beginning, the first day. Other than that, all down, half a pound to a pound, easy.
Crazy.
Right? And the only thing that I did different was take Restore. And this is at the end of the fast. I'm 60 plus days in. This is when it should be slow.
Right. That's what you would think.
When it got to this point and I'm taking Restore and I'm losing a pound a day again, I'm like, hey man,
start to get your second win.
Yeah, I said, I'm thinking about let's just keep the party going, But at this point, I've already committed to stopping at a certain point.
Right.
And mentally, I said, I'm going to stop. I knew that we had another fast that was be coming up. I wanted to go through a nice long refeed, and before we go back into that next program. So I said, let me stop. Let me stay committed to myself and my choices, and let me just work. So Restore was doing something very interesting, and I had never experienced that before. And because like I said, I was taking Clean Slate, but 0 is my favorite product. I was always taking 0 in.
Right.
But Restore.
Yeah. See, people be sleeping on Restore.
That bad boy right there, boy. As soon as that started happening, I said, "Oh yeah, let me go ahead and order some more of this."
I started
because I'd taken it before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I said, "Nah, man." Something about Restore, and then the gut, right? Because once again, right, I talked about Candida. Talked about how you go through fasting periods. You killing Candida, it ain't eating nothing, right?
Eating.
It's dying.
Right.
So then what I started doing is, and I did this intentionally, I started feeding it things that I knew were going to be good for my gut. The bacteria that's in my gut, my microbiome, my microbiota, I knew Restore was going to be good for that. And then as soon as I started taking it, my body was responding.
And Restore not only feeds the gut, but it also opens up the elimination pathways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and what are we talking about? When we talk about weight loss, we're talking about elimination. It's
literally it's detox.
It's detox. That's what it is. So you're really getting it's a dual benefit, and really even more than that. But in this scenario, we're talking about feeding the gut, and then also opening up those elimination pathways, which helps to expedite weight loss, or at least kind of restart it.
Correct.
I'm curious to know, do you have an average amount of weight loss for that period of time that you fasted?
Yes. So it was 0.85.
Okay, so 0.85, right?
Yes. Now that was not including the 15 pounds prior. So if you include that, it was like 0.93.
So right at about 1 pound.
Yeah, right at about 1 pound.
Yeah.
So listen. As much knowledge as we have, I said, man, I'm gonna get around this 1 pound, because we understood it was 1 pound. This is why you hear us say this. Long term, you're gonna get 1 pound.
Right.
Long term. But I said, well, I'm gonna try dry fasting.
Yeah,
If dry fast, you lose more than 1 pound.
Steve tried to beat the system.
I got too much knowledge. I tried to beat the system, and then my body said, "Nah, brother, we know what you're doing."
Nah, as I was trying to tell Steve, I'm like, dude, those numbers are solid.
I
man.
mean, they're rocks. I tried.
They're solid. I mean,
couldn't.
even with it being 9.3, like golly, like it's so close.
It's so
like,
nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Long term, you're not going over that.
You're not going over it, which is fine because what are we looking at? We're looking at the contouring of the body. We're looking at no loose skin. We're looking at, people talk about extreme weight loss. Your body won't let you do it.
Yeah.
It might feel extreme to you because you're losing X amount in a small time frame. But when you expand that time frame, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you start to see your body has a plan.
Yeah.
And it knows what is extreme. And even when you were talking about getting into, 60 days, and you were losing weight, you should have been stopping. Well, typically you would be slowing down depending on where you are. Me personally, once I'm 20, 30 days into a fast, my weight loss pretty much stops. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm usually a twig by that time.
Whew, yeah, you got 140 or something.
I'm a leaf flapping around in the wind, and my weight will stop. It will get real low, but it'll eventually stop. So I think we have to understand the infinite intelligence that we're dealing with when we're talking about our body. You talk about the intelligence of Candida. Well, Candida's supposed to be there, right? And that's part of you, right? As well as all the other bacteria. It's all very intelligent.
Yeah.
They say that the second mind is in the gut, which is really your first mind, because all of your that whole gut feeling thing, like you feel love
Talk
there.
about it.
You feel hesitation when someone's lying to you, when someone's watching you. Like you can feel everything in your mind down there.
Sometimes it feels like somebody's watching me.
Yeah, so I think that we're dealing with something that we truly don't fully understand.
Yes.
Maybe we never will because our minds have been so
maybe not in our time.
Maybe not, but I will say that I know that I have a general understanding, enough to be able to tell people what to expect, enough to be able to navigate new hurdles and things of that nature, and really enough to know that whatever you're doing, if you're moving in the right direction, the body is going to be working in your favor, always.
Even when you think it's not. Even when I'm pissed off. 47 days, I forgot I had wrote down exactly. 47 days of that slow, just
weird weight loss.
47 days.
So talk to us about inches, man.
Oh man. So this is my daughter's gonna be so proud of me when I talk to her about this. She's not gonna understand. She ain't gonna understand what this means.
Hey,
maybe she will. I told her, I said, baby, the next time you see me, Daddy's gonna look a lot different.
That's what's up.
Yeah, make me feel good. So during this time, I had my before, and then I took my after. Actually, I broke my fast. And I was like, oh man, I forgot I gotta take my measurements. So I didn't want to go, weeks and weeks and then take my numbers. So I'm gonna give you the total for just each section, yada yada yada. So I lost 6.5 inches off my chest. 4.25 off my left arm, 3.5 on the right arm, 9.5 inches around my waist.
Wow.
So the real waist is around your navel. So just FYI, it's not where your pants sit. 6 inches on my hips, right? So your hips are the largest part around your butt. So you go around the largest part, not where you may see a curve, but around the large part of your butt. And that's where you measure hips. 4.5 on my right and left thigh, and 1.5 on my left calf, and 1.25 on my right calf. In total, I lost 41.5 inches from what I measured. Right. So that doesn't even include. I just realized that doesn't even include my neck, right? Because of course your neck shrinks. So that doesn't even include my neck. But 41.5 inches. Like you watch these little workout commercials and these infomercials. I lost 6 inches in 90 days. I lost 20 inches around just in.
Yeah.
Hey man, 41.5 baby, right? Not just 41.5 inches right? Weight-wise, I went from 200, because I ain't telling this yet. I'm gonna drop this bomb. I went from 279.2 pounds down to my absolute lowest I'd ever been in my entire adult life. So I broke my record at 211.1.
211.1.
Right? So my goal was 200. I'm right. I mean, I'm right there.
He's right there. I've never... And also, you got to think, I've never got an opportunity to see you.
Never.
That.
You saw me in a picture.
I saw a picture. That was the most that I seen.
68.1 pounds.
Congratulations.
Come on, man. What's up, baby? And once again, I did a 65-day fast. Like I said, I didn't include that, you know what I mean?
Right.
But 68.1.
68.1 in 2 months. Well, we'll say
it's 2.5 months. Let's say
2.5 months.
Yes, it's technically it's 65 days plus the 5-day fast. It's 7
Oh,
days.
right. Not okay. Yeah. What
I
is
did.
that, like
I did a 5-day fast. I did the 7-day.
It's like 4 weeks,
right?
Or not 4 weeks.
Hey man, you all right?
10 weeks. Well, no, actually, I'm extremely tired.
You probably need to go ahead and get you a fast. I'm
extremely tired.
Nah. So it was. I did the 5-day fast. I took a 7-day refeed, and then I started my 65-day fast. So I broke them apart so that you guys have the numbers specifically, so that way it's clear. But yeah, man, 68.1 total.
He did it again, man.
And
did it again.
And during that time frame, everything that I was doing was focused around refeed. I knew what I needed to do. I knew what I needed to eat. I knew that the one way of eating that I'd ever done that I genuinely lost fat on, not just weight, but fat, and I looked better.
Right.
Was raw.
Raw, yeah.
So I said, you know what? I have to do this, right? So I knew I needed to do a long fast, and I knew that after I came off my my fasting, I needed to eat raw, and I wanted to eat this way. I did 30-day raw, 30 days raw one time, and it was the best I've ever felt.
And the food is off the charts.
Oh yeah.
Like if you've never done raw, I know you think it's rabbit food. You go out and get your.
They hear raw, they just
think it's like salads and raw broccoli and stuff. I mean, it's an incredible way to eat. The food is so good.
I've been learning, man.
It's so flavorful because we don't realize we cook a lot of the flavor out of the food.
Some of the stuff that coming off the fast and then only eating 65 days and not eating
Taste
anything.
buds are completely reset.
Everything tastes great to me. I'd be like, Chris, taste this. Oh, it tastes good. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Everything tastes great to me. I taste everything.
Yeah.
But coming off that and then going raw, I have been able to basically maintain. Right now. No,
go ahead.
Now, granted, if you ask us, anytime after a fast, there's a certain level of weight that can be expected. You go from eating nothing, you now are eating something. Your body's you're going to go up.
Especially when you do the dry fasting.
Right.
I call it the fasting springback.
Yes. So now, a lot of times what happens is people in their fast, they refeed improperly, and then they gain most of the weight back, if not all of it, and they gain more, right? The refeed is actually more important than the fasting itself.
Yeah.
Right? The amount of food that you eat, so not just the quality of the food, right? This is the one time where quantity is more important than quality. So the quantity of food that you eat is very important. You've reset your stomach, your desires, you've reset these things during these time frames. So whatever you then start putting into it, and the amount your body is going to adjust to understand where it's supposed to be at based upon what you do for the next 14 days.
You're teaching it. It's like a baby.
Yeah.
It's like an infant, and you're teaching it and you're training it. You're programming it.
There you go. So we've heard the term reset, which I can agree it is a reset. The problem is you reset and then you go ahead and you put the poison back in.
You got that old mindset.
Correct.
That's what it is.
This is why when we talk about starting in the wrong place, we're starting with the physical. You really need to start with the mental, right? You're starting in the wrong place.
Look at that coming full circle.
You know what I'm saying? So you need to go into this with the understanding that you cannot eat the same way you eat now. You can't do it. Fasting is a tool. It is a tool. It is powerful, right? But if you do not change what you are inputting into your body, you will continue this wellness wheel for the rest of your life. Now, if you're fasting and you're making some changes, don't get me wrong, you'll have a better quality life, right? But you're not going to get where you ultimately want to go. So the one thing that we talked about was what you have this goal of getting to a certain weight, right? Let's say you want to lose 100 pounds. That's your goal, okay? But let me ask you this. Do you know how to then live as that person 100 pounds less? Right? Have you ever been ladies, have you ever been 120 pounds? You ever been 130 pounds? If that's your goal, do you know how to live as 130 pounds?
Wow.
Right? You know how to live at 230 pounds, 240, right? I know how to live at 400 pounds. I know what to eat at 400 pounds. I know what to drink. I know how much I should eat. I know exactly how to live with that person.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to live as a 200-pound Steven.
Wow.
Right? It's crazy. We don't think about that. You have to change your mind and the way that you think, the amount of food that you eat, what you eat. It has to change, right? And if you don't change it, no matter what you do, you'll go right back. There's not enough gym. There's not enough pills. There's not enough protein. There's not enough juice. There's not enough fruit. It's not enough. You have to change and eat and have the activity level of the person that you are trying to become in order to become that person.
That's deep, man.
Boy! I'm giving y'all some juice right here.
This right here, this type of insight, you don't get this from a book.
I ain't never heard nobody say that.
I never heard this. This only comes with experience and experience and experience.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I ain't learned that until I did this 65-day fast.
It takes a while. It takes a while for that to set in sometime.
And also, just now eating raw and where my weight has been, right? So I'll see my weight. So I've gone, it was at 211, and I think the first day I ate, I gained 2.6 pounds. I was like, hold on a second. Hold on a second. No, hold on a second, right? But then I think I told you, I said I looked in the mirror and I was like, well, I feel fine. I didn't look bloated, right? I didn't look like I had gained weight, but I gained 2.5 pounds. I'm very sensitive at this point. I'm like, I'm watching everything, right? Because I'm like 65 days.
Getting on them, right? We not squandering that.
We're not squandering that.
Can't do that, nah.
Right? So as I just continued, right? I mean, my weight just moved up just a little bit. I was having bowel movements, like everything was good. And then I think that at one point I got on the scale at nighttime after I ate. Like, horrible idea. And I was like 219. I'm like, oh no, I'm about to go on another fast. Oh, no, we're not. No, 219. I was at 211. We're not doing this. I'm going on another fast, right? And then over the next, I think it was the next 2 days, I continued, right? I was drinking my water. I was going to the bathroom actually, and then today I had two really big movements, and because I'm eating raw. I mean,
everything's coming out.
You absorb everything, and everything just comes out. Anything your body don't want, use
all your waste
everything
comes out.
And then so after I got to 219, right? And then so I'm like, I gained 8 pounds, you know what I'm saying? And then right now I'm like right back at around 215. So I mean, so now so you're gonna have this up and down.
It's it takes some time for your body to normalize.
It's normalizing,
right? There's a certain amount of things that you just can't get around. You haven't been eating for almost 70 days. So, your body, there's digestive fluids, there's processes, there's just certain things you cannot get around.
Yeah.
However, and this is what we've said for years now, the weight you gain is not the weight that you lost.
You're not gaining fat. I haven't gained any fat.
No fat. So your body, your shirts, the pants, everything probably still fits the same.
Man, everything is looking good, man.
You know what I mean?
Man, I got these avocados on my shirt. I'm looking good up here, man.
Yeah, like I would know. I would know if you gained 5 pounds of bloat.
You better tell me.
Or if you gained weight. Like,
like Stephen, hey man, you're not doing something right.
I would know. I always know. It's very easy to see. I mean, I'm observant too, but so it's important to understand that. Now, I am curious to know, you know what I'm saying, not eating, 70, 80, whatever it was, 100 days, whatever this. You know what I'm saying? Like, not eating for that long and getting your mind prepared to break the fast. Tell me about what that was like for you.
Hey man, you put me into a state of nervosity. That's not a real word. You make me nervous, man, taking me back into that dark place. Listen, I'm gonna keep it 100, man. I was scared. I know it's crazy. It sounds crazy, and it makes sense now, right? And then even in my actions, they show that it makes sense. Chris, I was scared. I said, nah, man, I'm not. That's why I was going to go 70. I was going to go 75. I just said, I'm not eating. I am scared. I'm not because I felt like I was going to throw up or I was going to get sick or anything like that, right? Because I understand what I was planning on eating.
Right.
I wasn't worried about making mistakes or anything. Honestly, dude, I was scared of just getting back on the wheel. I've gone through this so many times, and I mean, little fast, big fast, right? And I'm learning, I'm growing, right? Like this is a journey, but this one was different. I have never felt what I felt trying to break this fast. Normally, midnight, 7, 8 a.m.
I started my fast at.
I technically started about. I ate 10 days prior, but I finished eating dinner at 6:57.
Right. Yeah.
So
I can eat.
I'm good, you know right?
Yeah.
So I mean, even when I did my 30-day fast, I did a video. I didn't even wait till the next morning. I broke that monster. I had some grapes the night. It was after midnight. I recorded the video for you. You know what I'm saying? This was different. I felt the shift, and like I had never felt before. And I said, I am actually a little fearful of messing up. I have the knowledge. I've invested, right? I mean, I've invested into books, programs, like to learn how to eat this way. To time, writing in my journal, writing myself letters. Like I've done so much, and I was scared. I was scared as hell.
Yeah.
And I think that you were explaining that it was a beneficial fear. What do you think?
What do I think?
Yeah, what you think, man? Give me your opinion. I was scared.
It's healthy fear. You know what I mean? Typically we look at fear as it has a negative connotation, just like something like hate, or no, and rightfully so. However, that's not how the world really works. That's not how our reality really works. There's no good. There's no bad. There's just is.
It just is.
And there's balance in everything as long as you have the ability to see it. So it's a healthy fear of reverting back. That's a path that you've walked many times. It's going to help to keep you accountable. It's going to, you're going to be on that scale. You're not going to shy away from it. The fear of going backwards and undoing the work that you've done is greater than the fear of getting on that scale.
Yeah.
You'll get on that scale, because I would rather get on that scale and know I need to go ahead and hit this fast, or I need to make an adjustment to my diet, versus the fear of tumbling back up that hill.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've been tracking. I mean, I plan on tracking weight. I mean, because I'm over a week into my refeed. So I mean, your refeed period. I mean, I'm eating normal. Like this is how I plan on eating. Like I mean, I don't have the mind of I'm refeeding still, and I need to be careful.
Right.
Like 2 or 3 days in, I said, this is life now.
I'm rocking.
Yeah, I mean, like I eat, like I feel fine. Like after I eat, actually, I need to start eating earlier because after I eat, I'm like, I got energy. You know what I'm saying? Like so even people are afraid about like they don't want to go out to eat. They don't want to, they don't want to go to restaurants and stuff like this. But we went out to eat, and what did I have? I had a salad, right, and then I had
a vegetable platter.
I had a vegetable platter with hummus, like.
And that was at a place that is at like a surf and turf place.
That
smelled like seafood in there.
Yeah, it did.
Like,
smelled like seafood, high end.
Yeah.
I felt like the waiter looked at me like, "This all you gonna get?"
Yeah. The waiter was. I know the waiter was wilding. Like,
he still tipped him, but you know what I'm saying?
He said I had a buffet or a platter because basically I just went to the sides. You know what I'm saying? None of the main entrees. They did not have any vegetarian options, not even a vegetarian option as a main. So I just got sides. I got a salad too, but I got everything. I got the salad. I got the mushrooms. Oh my God, those mushrooms!
I didn't taste the mushrooms.
Those mushrooms were so fire.
But like you can, like when you are eating this way, when you're eating a raw food diet, or even a whole food diet, right? I mean, before you transition to raw, you will start to you'll process your food differently. Right? My digestive system. I'll get a little emotional, man.
The real VIP.
I didn't expect that to come on like that.
It makes sense.
Now, I've been working hard, man. Going down to Florida and seeing the specialist and everything I've been doing. Hey man, I don't know where this came from, man. All these emotions, man, it came out of nowhere.
It's like winning the NBA championship.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? All of the practice, all of the work, the drills, watching tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting roughed up. Clawing your way to the top, making it. What do they call it? The Eastern Conference, the Western Conference.
Final,
You know
conference finals, man.
Conference finals.
I mean, I didn't even win the championship yet, man. Give me down under 200.
You're in the finals. You're in the finals now.
I'm in the finals,
yeah.
But man, I just. It feels good, man. I'm telling you, man, when I saw that too, like this was after I ate that night and I got on scale. I was like, why am I getting on scale at nighttime after I just ate? Right? I'm like 219.
Try to punish yourself.
I was like 219. I said, hold on a second. The next morning, got up and I was like, I'm down a little bit, right? And then I got on a few days later. I'm like, oh yeah, man, we back. Like to me at that moment, I said, my body's working.
It's
working. Like you're going to gain weight, right? You're going to fluctuate up and down.
Everybody does.
And then, but I'm releasing, and then my stomach is not like bloated. I'm like,
it's working.
It's working.
It's working. That's man, bro. That's it right there, man. It's definitely I can see how scary it could be. You know, because I've been intimately attached to you and John through y'all's journeys, and this has been a big thing. It is a big thing for a lot of people. You know what I mean? That fear of going up and down and up and down. But once again, it's really trusting your body. It's trusting your body. It's trusting the work that you've put in. You know, the tools that you've developed. Yeah, it's incredible to see you here, and I know that you're going to continue to make progress.
This is like, I feel like this is like ground zero. This is this is like, I don't see this because some people look at me, oh my God, like don't lose any more weight. Oh my God, you do so great. I'm like, y'all don't realize.
Nah,
like,
I don't realize.
Here's the thing you don't realize. My lowest previously was 213. But I only been there for one day. I hit it one day, went out of town, hung out with my boys, right? And then, we went to the gravesite where my boy was buried that I lost. I mean, a lot of guilt, all that stuff started coming back. Whoop, straight back up. Whoop, straight back up. Right? So really, I really lived at like 230, 240. Like that's
Right.
really where I spent most of my time at my lowest.
Right, right.
This is the longest I have been. I'm sorry. This is the lowest I have been for this long.
Right. In the teens.
And this is a week.
Yeah.
Like it's a week, and
Yeah.
I'm like, just
The
you know
battle.
what I'm saying? Like
this is like on those animes when you have completely like what you're wiped. You have nothing left,
Yeah.
and then they tell you the battle begins now.
oh my god,
Like that's literally where you're at. This is ground zero.
Yep.
Clearly still have much more work to do. You know, I know your goals. I know. But let's be honest. When you're starting at the bottom and you're underneath the bottom of the floor and you're grinding to get to ground zero, it is a major accomplishment. It builds a tremendous amount of mental fortitude, resiliency. You have to learn a lot. And in my opinion, it makes the next phase that much more achievable. Like it's not, and I actually really just talked about this. I think, or maybe I did a live recently, but it's not good to skip. Mm-hmm. It's not good to go from 0 to 100 because then you're not equipped, right?
I clearly wasn't equipped before. Just like I talked about, and I didn't realize this. I wasn't ready to live at 213, 200. I had no idea what it was going to take me to live at that point.
Right.
Right? Because what it takes someone else can just take certain things. They stop eating fast food and they're good.
Right.
Right? But for me, on my unique life, based upon my body, what I've eaten, the damage that I've done, right, with alcohol and smoking and McDonald's and Taco Bell, like the damage that I've done, I wasn't able. I have a clear understanding. I'm not able to eat and just have certain things like I can't. Like Steven I need to do a certain thing. I know it works. This is what we're going to do. Right. And for me to survive and to be happy at a 180 pound body, 170 pound body, all jacked and muscular and all that, because that's where I'm going. Right. I need to eat a certain way. So, and I'm happy with that, man. And I'm learning more how to make my foods, how to make the foods I love and enjoy, but make them in the right way, make them raw. Like, and you've tasted some stuff, man. Boy.
It's all good.
Oh, boy.
It's all good.
Woo.
It is literally all good. Like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
You're like, Chris, go down there and taste something. Because leading up to this point, I'm the only one that's ever done that. I've never got the opportunity to. John was here for a brief moment last week, and he was like, Chris, I got a recipe I want you to try. But besides that one time, and you know the past week or so with you, I haven't got to experience it because I'm usually one making up new recipes.
That's
I'm like,
true.
yo, you gotta taste this, da 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 da. So it is a good feeling to be able to sneak down to the kitchen and grab me some, especially raw, man. Especially raw. Steve, man, this is not over. This is the update. We're at ground zero now.
Oh, we at ground zero, man.
We're at ground zero. So from this point forward, when we talk about this, it's going to be from a completely different perspective.
Yeah.
But this is the end, the close of a chapter. We've been looking to do this video for probably the past year and a half.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, since we did before, when I came back, man. Hey, man. Yeah.
We finally made it. I'm extremely proud of you. You've earned, everything that's coming to you in the future, everything that you're already, the benefits that you're already seeing, and obviously, man, much more to come.
Make me cry again, man. Hey man, y'all, hey man, sometimes you gotta just, the man just,
Yeah. Hey, listen.
This is emotional stuff,
It's
man.
an emotional moment. Like there's a lot. Let it out. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do.
Nah, man, you ain't gonna just have me up here crying on camera. You already got me up here wiping my tears away.
You
But
gotta do what you gotta do, man. Listen, man. Where can people find you? What do you got going on?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So once again, my name is Stephen Michael. If you want to find me, you can reach me on Instagram. I'm in the process of growing my Instagram even bigger. So it's at Stephen Michael Wellness. I do coaching. I do, I can put together. I'm in the process of putting together a raw 7-day meal plan and kind of a start guide, which I'm going to be, providing that for free to people. So you'll be able to have that here soon. You can reach me at steven@ahealthyalternative.org. And make sure you guys go and you check out the AHA communities, which I'm sure it'll be down here in this link also. Mm-hmm. Also, if you are interested in any of the Root brand products, Chris James is going to make sure that link is down below as well. So make sure you grab you some of that Restore. Make sure you get you some of that Zero In. And make sure you get some of that Clean Slate. You're going to need the Trinity. Yeah. It really helps. So, and we always have stuff going on. So we always have different programs and stuff happening. The 40-day wellness program, we're probably going to be talking about that a little more, but that's out as well.
You can find the 40-day at ahawellnessacademy.com. And you can also, if you want to book a session with Steven, if you want to get into the, if you want to pull a Jasmine, hey, Steve, I'm trying to lose 100 pounds in 6 months, go to ahealthyalternative.org and then just click the Work With Us tab and find your favorite coach. And
see, there you go. You good at explaining that stuff.
Lock in for, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Woo! 90 days. Hey, man, listen, I do public speaking as well, man. If you need me to come talk to your people, man, hit me up, man. I'll come talk to your people. Me and Crystal come.
For booking information, hit up steven@ahealthyalternative.org.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, y'all, I hope you have enjoyed this. This has been, what's it been, like 5 years in the making?
I mean, that's how it is, man. That's the journey. That's how. I mean, listen, if you told me 5 years ago, Steven, you're going to go through a lot of stuff. You're going to go through hell. But at the end of this, man, we're going to strip 200 pounds off you. You're going to be the slimmest and trimmest and the strongest you ever been. And then from there, we're going to get you down to about 170.
Okay.
Well, you know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? We're going to have you out there. You know what I mean? I got to work with John a little bit. But, if you told me that 5 years ago, where I was, man, I was ready. I was at the point where I was thinking about checking out. You know what I'm saying? There's no way I would have ever believed this. So it's taken this long, the ups and downs. I've learned so much. I'm excited, and this is real. The real work begins.
This is where it begins. Hit that like button, y'all. Subscribe. Make sure to share this video with a friend or family member. Use it as inspiration. Come back, rewatch it because you missed something. Come back, rewatch it. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And we will see you all next time.